we look human.
That's all we can really ask for.
Yeah, no. You can always ask to look like supermodels, but maybe that's a bit of a stretch. Kia guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's Wholesome Half Hour. I'm Siren.
And I'm Mackenzie.
And on this week's show, we are talking about how we would have done high school differently. We each had our own little reflection and thought about how I'd go about it differently.
Yep.
In the hindsight now, being out of high school for 3 years.
3 years,
Coming on 4 years,
Yep, working on 4 years.
So having a look at how we would have done high school differently, and then we asked you guys if you thought you were doing high school wrong, and how and why, etc. So we're going to take a look at some of those as well.
Yeah, so I think one thing to start is, even if we don't mention names in particular for these questions, there were a lot of double ups and stuff like that. So clearly a lot of the worries that you guys have are very similar. So, even just to sort of get started, I think one of the main things to sort of get from this is any worries that you do have, you're not alone. It's definitely not just you that's worrying about this. It's students everywhere, really. So, yeah.
No, totally. Yeah, it's one of those things where it is easy to feel like you're alone in your worries.
Yeah.
But actually you aren't. And we'll get on to some of those questions, kind of get pretty direct into that. But it's real easy to think that you are not in the right place or whatever.
Yeah.
And everyone else is sailing along great. But as we'll talk about later, that's not the case.
100%. 100%.
Shall we start off with
what we would do differently?
Your high school experience.
My high school experience. Okay. So, my high school experience was quite, for lack of a better word, secular, in that the dynamics that spring from a streamed form class system is very interesting.
Oh yeah.
And you have very similar patterns pop up every time.
Interesting.
You're always. The top class always ends up being weirdly alienated, or they kind of not by other people. It's kind of that group just becomes its own group, and they become quite separate to almost the rest of the. I don't know how it happens, but it always seems to arise. And I saw it in every auxiliary class in my entire high school year. Every year that came in after me, they followed that same pattern, which was quite odd.
Actually, it's funny. I recently learned that. So when I was at high school, my school did streaming as well. We had, there were 10 form classes, big school.
Yep.
For each year, 10 form classes for each year level, and there were 2 English and Maths stream class, 1 Maths stream class, and 1 English stream class for year 9 and 10. But recently I heard that my old school is doing away with streaming, which is very interesting.
I'm both for and against it. I think there are definitely arguments on both sides.
Yeah.
Overall, it was a good experience for me, and I think it definitely pushed me a lot harder than I probably would have pushed myself if I weren't in that environment, but that's neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But in terms of my high school experience, the biggest piece of advice I would go back and give to my high school self is stop taking yourself so seriously. You don't need to. I think when we're at high school, we are beginning to learn a lot of the things about the world, how it works, how it's not as mean as we originally thought it was. There are issues that happen and arise, and it's not always sunshine and roses. And we sort of begin to have that sort of bubble wrap kind of, I think, begun to take off. And I think that what a lot of students do is they kind of swing to that other end of the spectrum and sort of go, well, everything sucks and everything's bad. And that's that really teen angsty stuff, is because you're just being introduced to the ideas that the world isn't as perfect as we are sort of led to believe when we're kids. Understandably, we're kids, it's fine. But I think as I've gotten older, or since I've left high school and stuff like that, I've sort of gone the other way on the spectrum again, and I think now I'm somewhere in the middle, where it's there is good and there is bad. And I think at high school, when we're learning that kind of stuff, it's very easy for us to jump to, oh, everything sucks, or oh, there are so many things that are wrong. And I think now I have a much more leveled approach to that. So I think the biggest thing I think I would tell my high school self is just don't take everything so seriously. And I think also learning to forgive people more, and also not the opinions you have now are yours and they're absolutely fine to have, but I think something that I felt in high school was the person that I was then was the person that I was always going to be. And I think one of the biggest things that I would go back and tell myself is keep yourself open to change.
Yeah.
Which
there's nothing wrong with change.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Oh God, I was an awful person. I'm still an awful person. Like, I was a worse person in high school. You know what I mean? And I think that I wish that I understood then that, like, you're going to meet a lot of people with a lot of different opinions, and your world will be opened up so much more when you leave high school. And be receptive and be open to that. I think is like really, really important. But I think those were like the biggest things. I think my biggest one would be, like, don't take yourself and don't take the world too seriously, because it will bring you down.
Yeah. No, I totally, I totally agree with that. And my points that somewhat like to cover that like same basis of like, it's very easy to, like, I guess, like overvalue, not as if like your high school experience is like something you shouldn't value, but like it's really easy to like overemphasize the importance of like certain things when you're in high school.
100%. Actually, with that as well.
And later in life as well.
I think one of the biggest differences like between me then and me now would be like, then I would consider myself like a cynic, like that real pessimist, glass half full, this is like a really bad thing. Whereas now I would like to think of myself more as a critical person.
Yeah.
And the difference there being that, like, as opposed to just seeing things that are wrong, it's taking this further and saying, well, what can we do to make things better? Or what can we do to improve it from here on in? And I think it's a natural progression of things. Like, I'm not, like, I don't beat myself up for having that mindset when I was in high school, because I think that's led me to where I am now. Yeah. And so I couldn't be mad at that, but I definitely wish that I understood that my mind wasn't as fixed, or my opinions weren't as fixed as I thought they were. Yeah. And that, that the ideas and the things that we're learning at that time aren't at all like the extensive be all and end all, I think.
Yeah, I definitely also, like, I don't know, and in high school, I felt a lot more strongly about my opinions than I do now.
100%.
Which is interesting, because, like, you know, I've been alive longer now. That tends to be how life works. I actually know now. I actually know more now.
Yeah, 100%. And you're more receptive to things when you consider that your opinion is subjective, and that you like, as soon as you open yourself up to other ideas, you're ultimately going to become more informed. Yeah. Because
there's nothing wrong with like learning something like new, like, I don't know, like talking to someone, or like after you read some article or something, and like learning new information and then changing your opinion, and like it's okay for like the old you to be wrong and the new you to be more correct. Like, I feel like people can't. I feel like a lot of people feel like they can't change their opinion on things once they've locked in. Yeah. As the guy who doesn't believe in climate change. Yeah. Can never change that opinion. I think once you learn, like, that's how.
At high school,
the world moves
forward. Individuals and ourselds are much more fixed than what they are. Yeah. And they're so not. They're so not. Yeah. Yeah.
And there is definitely this, like, idea in society that, like, you can't change your opinion too much, but like,
or
that's how
you're unloyal to something, or disloyal, or you are like a cop-out or something like that. Yeah. And it's like, no, I've just become more informed, and I've taken this new information on, and it's changed my opinion, and that's so fine. That makes you like a good person, because it means you're receptive to other people. Yeah. You know?
No, I totally agree.
What are your other things?
What are my things?
You had a list.
I have a list. I was on the train the other day, and I watched the waves go past, and I made a list. Cool. So the first thing, and this is kind of like, it's this kind of the same thing as Mackenzie said, but I've like kind of framed it in a different way. Okay. I said, like, be less anxious. So like, for me, like, a lot of the stuff that like happened in high school, I guess because I like placed such high emphasis or such high importance on it, it used to like bother me like a lot and like all the time. And when that happens, like I don't know, for me that like manifested and like feeling like really anxious like a lot of the time. And I wrote down some of the key ones for me, like relationships are always challenging.
Yeah.
But like when you like, especially at high school, like especially if we're talking like I'm talking like friendships, relationships can be like friendships, relationships can be platonic, relationships can be romantic, but especially when you get into some of those like first romantic relationships, they can feel like really intense and feel like they're going to define like your life.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, just on that note, but I think I was one of the only people who, and I think this was because I was such like a cynical high school kid. I feel like I was one of the only people who was like, I'm not going to be with this person forever. Like I went into relationships knowing that they were always going to be very temporary.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I know that like people are quite different on that though, especially when you're new to it.
Yeah, and like just like I don't know, when you place like so much importance on that and like things start to go wrong, it can feel really like disheartening. But just like realizing, just like taking a moment to like realize that like this relationship, if it doesn't work out, like that's not going to define your life. Like there's literally like millions more people in the world, and like I don't know. If we talk specifically about dating, I don't believe in like the like one true love like model.
It's such a cop out.
What?
It's such a cop out. It's not true. Like
I'm
in agreement.
Like, I believe that like for like every person that there's like not millions, maybe millions statistically, but realistically, there's like a large amount of like people you could be romantically involved with and be happy with, in like all sorts of different ways. Like that's kind of, I mean, that's how friends work, and like. Like
you can't just have one true friend.
Yeah. Like so, like just like being mindful that like if your relationship goes wrong, like it will be okay. Like
hell yeah.
Like someone else like probably more interesting will like come around down the road.
Yeah.
And then also related to that, just because you're not in a relationship, like not feeling like pressured to do that or feeling like lonely about that, like it'll be fine. Like you'll meet if you leave school and you go to uni or you go into a workplace or something, you'll instantly be exposed to like a new set of like multiple hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people, depending on where you work or go to uni. So like not like overemphasizing some of those stuff, and also friends and stuff can be like a source of anxiety. But again, like you're gonna meet more people and not like feeling stressed out like if this doesn't work out, your entire life's gonna fall apart, because it's really easy to do that when like everyone you associate it with is from school.
Actually, on that note, I think one of the things that was a bit anxiety inducing, and I think it is for like a lot of high school students, is that anxiety about feeling like you have to like hit certain milestones when you're in high school. Like people are like, oh, what, you haven't had a boyfriend before or something like that. Like it doesn't matter. It really, really doesn't. Like if there's anybody out there that needs that right now, like needs someone to say, it doesn't matter, it doesn't. Because like, first off, it's nobody else's business. It's entirely up to you. If you're comfortable on your own, you're comfortable on your own. If you're not comfortable on your own and there's nobody that like would interest you in that way, that's also fine. And I think people feel like there's this pressure to have a boyfriend or have a girlfriend or, you know, be in some kind of like relationship or have something going on in that regards. And like, you don't, it doesn't matter. And what somebody else does, it is just like your education. It's what somebody else does has absolutely no bearing on you. It's about you. It's about your own journey. It's about what you're comfortable with. And only you can set those expectations for yourself. And I think we are always so influenced by what others are doing around us. And we feel like we have to like keep up or catch up or all that kind of stuff. Like, and it doesn't necessarily just have to be like relationships with people. Like I think it can be like heaps of different things.
No, I totally agree with that. And so to conclude that point, just be less anxious, just like relax. Like stuff is not as
important,
life critical as it may seem. Yeah. The next one I wrote was eat less junk food. This probably only applies to, like I said, a group of people, but if you're in this group, you know who you are. If your school is next to Macca's, a bakery, Pizza Hut, Subway, and a countdown within like less than 5 minutes, you know who you are.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it's just like not a desirable life habit. Like my life came full circle. But yeah, just eat less junk food. Young Saren, you don't need a pie at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Weird.
You know who you are. I'm doing some weird like gag symbol now. Cool. And then the third one I had, which is like the last main one, was like don't do like what's safe or what's the right thing to do, particularly in regards to everything, but particularly in regards to like choosing a degree or choosing a job and stuff like that.
I thought you were talking about like law breaking, like don't do what is the right thing to do. I was like, Sarah, where are you going with this? Anyway.
I think you should try breaking new law every weekend.
Oh.
Do some trespass.
I don't want to be on this show with you anymore. Can I leave?
Do some... Yeah.
Anyway, the rest of your point.
Anyway, like I don't know, when I was in high school, I very much felt, I don't know, I felt like the way that, you know, your parents talk about life and the careers guidance or careers counselor talks about life and the way your teachers talk about life, especially in terms of like, what's the right thing to study, what's like, where are the jobs and stuff like that. That's a really easy thing to feel like, it's really easy to feel like that's the only way to go about life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, when I was in high school and choosing a degree and stuff, for a long time it was always based on like your traditional job advice, like where are jobs, like where are the jobs, and like kind of like dictating my entire life around that. Mm-hmm. But sort of realizing that, like sure, so some of that might be true, like, you know, like jobs in journalism aren't stable in New Zealand, and there aren't many, like that's a fact, like that's true. But like not making that the source of all your decisions and not going into like a particular field just because that's where all the jobs are and that's where all the money is, but realizing that like if you're going to take a risk in life, like now's like a really good time to do it. Like you can spend like the next 10 years like trying to get your dream job like as a journalist, and like for the next 10 years until you're like between, you know, age 18 and age 30, you know, you're not going to have a house, you're not going to have a mortgage to pay, you're not going to have children, maybe you're not going to have like, you just like don't have a lot of life baggage. And if you want to take a risk, like now's a really good time to take it. So like don't feel like you have to rush into like that engineering job because that's where all the money is and that's where everyone says is good, and like realizing that like you can go do whatever, and even if it doesn't work out when you're 27, you can still go to uni and become an engineer, like all good.
100%.
Yeah, and that ties into my last point, which was like high school is not gonna like dictate like your entire life. And this ties into some of the questions we had or have, but like the decisions you make now, like I said, like if you decide like I'm not going to go to uni and I want to like be a swimming instructor, and like you do that, but after 3 years you decide you're not into that anymore, like you can still go to uni, you can go get another job, you can do so many things, and that one decision you made when you left high school
or even when you're in high school,
your entire life, or when you're in high school, yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. I think that does sort of address a lot of the questions that we did get today. But yeah, shall we get into some?
Shall we do some questions? Our first question was, everyone seems to have figured it out and is super onto it, and somebody else asked a question along, similar lines, which is everyone is so much better. We'll answer the first one. We'll answer the first one first. Everyone seems to have figured it out and is super onto it.
That's a lie. Everyone's lying.
It can definitely feel that way, but like the chances are like 95% of people feel exactly the same way as you, and the other 5% are the same way as you but don't feel it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
nobody knows
they feel
what
like
they're doing.
They know what they're doing,
like,
but they don't.
Everyone, I think something that we feel that we have to come out of high school sometimes with is like knowing how to adult, or like what. I still struggle to make my own doctor's appointments. Like I can't do that. That's scary. I can't do it.
Pick up the phone.
Wait, dude, don't at me.
Pick up the phone. You press 1 after they tell you to call an ambulance if this is an emergency.
I'm not quite that drastic, but that's fine.
You talk to them.
Anyway, what I mean is, like
that's how you make a doctor's appointment. Thanks for watching.
Wholesome Half Hour closes down. No, I think everyone thinks that everyone else knows exactly what they're doing, but everyone thinks that about everyone. And I don't know if that's like a consolation much at all, but I think it's sometimes we very easily lose sight of the fact that everyone is just confused carbon masses that bump into each other every now and then. Like, we don't know what's going on. We make our own rules. Like, I think that's something else as well is when you get older, you realize like you do dictate your own life, you make your own rules, and there's like, you don't have like the overhead of like a parent to ask where you're going or who you're with, or I mean you have the law, but like for the most part, like I am able to decide tonight if I'm going to have Cocoa Pops for dinner in the bathtub. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's entirely up to me.
Yeah.
I might do that tonight actually, but that's beside the point.
Do you like Cocoa Pops?
I'm not mad at them.
I was into Cocoa Pops. Our boss is into Cocoa Pops.
Interesting.
I don't think he eats them frequently, but he is into
I don't eat them frequently. Every now and then I get like in the mood for Cocoa Pops.
Why Cocoa Pops? Why not like Mars cereal?
Because it's cheaper. For no other reason.
Yeah, pricing.
I prefer the other cereals. Cocoa Pops is more affordable.
Interesting. I'm not that big on cereal. I really eat
I'm
breakfast.
not. Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah.
No. The thing is, that with that.
Or do you just eat the Cocoa Pops at any time?
If I ever buy cereal, I certainly don't eat it in the morning.
Okay.
I very, very rarely. Who starts their day with a bowl of Cocoa Pops? It's chocolate. It's a weird way to start your day.
Okay, we literally just had donuts in the office, and they came in around 10:30, and I hadn't
That's
eaten
a weird
anything.
way to start your day.
I love a good salted caramel donut and a chocolate pie to start the day.
Actually, that does sound
I
weird.
love how I literally talked about eating less junk food about 5 minutes ago.
That's fine. But yeah, no, too long don't read. Nobody knows what they're doing, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's fun. That's life, man. It's life. You just got to ride that wave.
He's the people. Okay, yeah, he's a great. Like, actually, if you want, go talk to your parents about this because I'm sure they could tell you a mean story. But like, I can guarantee anyone who like has their like entire life planned out.
No,
ask them now what they
right.
plan.
That plan
life
planned out.
Ask them what their plan is. Put a little reminder in your phone. Hit them up in 10 years. But I'm not recommending you actually do this, though you could. But like you'll realize that even if people say they have their life planned out, stuff happens and like it'll change, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with planning it out if you want to, but like the reality is like most people's plans will change, and that's fine, and that's how life operates.
I think something to bear in mind with it as well is the idea that like the more of a plan you have, as soon as it does go awry, and it will, because it always does, like, this whole, like, structure plan that you've kind of, like, put a lot of yourself into kind of crumbles. And, like, you just have to approach life with a level of flexibility, because if you don't, like, if you go into it thinking, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then it's going to be this, this, and this, and it's going to be, like, a 10-step program to my life, say something happens at step 2, the rest of them like sort of don't follow that as well, and you're just like left not knowing what to do with yourself.
And often like a lot of the stuff that will change will like be like good things.
Yeah.
Like you may be offered like a different job that you didn't know you wanted, but like
it
actually leads you down like a bit, and like you do it for a year and you realize you like it, and now you're on a completely different path.
And that's fine.
And like that might be a better part than the plan you were on. You'll never know. But like
that's life, baby.
That's how it is. Just relax.
That's fine.
The second question.
Yeah.
Everyone is so much better at everything I do. Everyone is so much better at everything than me.
At everything I do.
At everything I do. I don't.
Why? Okay, so.
Should I finish the question?
Go on.
Everyone is better at everything I do. Why try? I never get any recognition.
First off,
go.
Don't be going for recognition, homie. Do it for yourself. That's my main thing. the point of doing something isn't to be better than someone else. The point of doing something, unless you're like explicitly in like a hot dog eating contest, in that case, yes, go for it. But like the point of life, the point of like doing anything is not for others. It's not for recognition. It's not to be the best at something. Like it's for you. And like, if it makes you happy, then do it.
If you learn how to like make yourself happy, you're gonna like if you do things and you feel happy about them, you're gonna be happy. If you do things and you're looking for recognition, there's never a guarantee on that.
No,
like there's never a guarantee on what other people are gonna like do.
It's really like it really hinges on like external validation, which is like you're saying, something that can crumble so easily if you don't receive it. Like, you should be looking for what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled, what makes you feel as though you've done a good job. Whether or not like you've done a good job does not matter. It is not dictated by how well somebody else did. Like, two people can both do a good job. Like, I think one of the things, like, life isn't a competition. Life isn't a race. There's always going to be someone out there who can do something better than you. Like I'm not the best at anything, and that's fine. I'm so okay. I'm okay in my mediocrity.
Like, let's think about it. Like, I don't know. Like, I make videos. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Mackenzie.
I sort of sit here and talk sometimes.
Sits here, manages people, does stuff like that. How are we going to compete?
We can't.
Like, I made 3 videos this week. Like, you didn't, but like.
Neat.
Like, it doesn't work, right? Like, what's the metric here?
And even if like Sarah was like, haha, I can use like Premiere Pro better than you, I'd be like, cool.
Premiere Pro.
Whatever you use, man. What do you use?
Final Cut for the one.
Okay, so he's like, oh, I know my way around Final Cut better than you. I'd be like, neat, dude. I don't care.
Yeah.
There's no, not that I don't care. Like, your knowledge of that is very beneficial, like 100%. But I'm not going to compare myself to that because it's not at all relevant to me.
Yeah.
And I know that isn't what this person is asking about. They're talking about the things like that do directly relate to them. I just think, just do things for yourself, man. Like, you don't need recognition from other people. It comes down to the amount of effort that you're willing to put into something, and that's what you're going to get out of it. And it's one of those funny things where, like, there's 2 points I want to make. Firstly, like, if you're like judging yourself based on the amount of recognition or like off you get, you're like judging yourself at, I don't know, age 15, 16, 17, 18. You're going to be alive for like 80 years. That's like judging like the outcome of like a sports game, like judging the outcome of a rugby game. And like the first
20
5
minutes.
In,
15, 20 minutes in, like anything could happen. Like literally anything could happen.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say is it's often the stuff that you actually like do for yourself, and because of that you really invest in, because you're not looking for any external validation, you're doing it for yourself, so you keep doing it. And those are the crafts and things that you often tend to become really good at because you keep doing them and you like no one else is asking you to do them.
Yeah.
And those are the things that often down the line are the ones that pay off.
I do understand that sometimes it does feel as though you're putting a lot of effort and time into something and you're not getting recognition for that. Like, I do 100% understand that, and I think that is definitely a genuine frustration when you don't feel as though, like, it doesn't always have to be a decorated thing, but somebody's saying sometimes like, oh, I see you're working really hard on that, like, that's really cool. Like, that definitely sucks not to get all the time, but I think sometimes you just have to sort of bear in mind that everyone is focusing on themselves. As much as they like to say that they're not, everyone is. And if you are doing a good job at something and you're consistently doing a good job at something, people kind of set that as the norm.
Yeah.
And so
totally.
That's not something that you'll constantly, even though you are consistently working hard, you're not going to get recognized that at every turn, because
that becomes like the new expectation. Yeah,
or it just becomes like a part of a routine. And it's not because people are wanting to be inconsiderate. It's just people think, oh, this person's just trucking along, and they know what they're doing, man. They're just getting it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And it's not because people don't appreciate you. It's because people just sort of not expect it, because I think that puts too much pressure on it, but they just know that that's you.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Cool. 2 2 questions, kind of same. But I feel like only taking sciences and maths was a bad idea because I don't know what career I want, and along the same subject we had someone saying, I'm only picking certain subjects because my parents want me to, and I don't know what I want for my future. The subjects you take now are not going to dictate your entire life.
In any way, shape or form.
I wanted to say something about it, but I'm going to resist the temptation. So like think about it realistically. Like, okay, so 2 things. You can talk about it in terms of university entrance, and you can talk about it like in terms of life holistically. The fact that you didn't take like level 2 biology is gonna have, or you did, is gonna have really little impact in about 3 years. Yeah. Like no one's gonna care. Like if you want to study something, if you want to study level 2, or if you want to study biology at uni, like you can do that. Just you might have to do like another paper, but like you can still do that. Like totally 100% feasible.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. There is nothing that you could do now, subject-wise in high school or anything like that, that would inhibit you from following what you want to do later on down the track, because it would be so silly to expect that of you as a high school student, or even as a uni. I don't know what I want to do. I'm out of uni.
Yeah.
Like, it's so fine. Like, I think teachers and parents and like the institutions and stuff, I think unconsciously put a lot of pressure on students at this point in terms of their subject choice, and making it sound like it is really the be all and end all, but it most certainly is not. And there is always a way around it, and there is never anything that you can do apart from maybe kill a man and be stuck in prison for the rest of your life that would inhibit you from following other passions later on in life. You know what I mean? Like it's not a thing.
Yeah. Like in year 13 I did calc, chemistry, physics, digital tech and media.
Yeah.
So like very heavily science oriented. I now work like in creative industries. I didn't do English in year 13, but I now work like in creative industries, like making videos, doing stuff like that. Like that's completely like that does not fall under the physics, chemistry, or calculus umbrella in any way. But like that has the fact that I took those in high school and didn't take English and didn't take any other creative subject has not inhibited me in literally in any way.
Yep.
At all.
You'll be fine. It will be fine.
And
it's okay not to know what you want to do as well. That's also very fine.
It's also okay to change what you want to do.
That's also fine. Everything is fine. Do what you want. It's fine. You can do it.
Don't do undergrad for 8 years. That's kind of a bad use of your time.
Yeah, okay, maybe don't do something like that. But like, don't do that. But you know what I mean. Yeah. Anyway.
Cool. So like these questions about like grades and like kind of like investment levels in school, which we've talked about a little bit before, but like some of them are like, I don't do anything outside of school except for more schoolwork. Is this bad? Am I focusing too much on perfect grades? Am I biting off more than I can chew? I feel like I'm doing so much, I'm sacrificing quality. I feel like I'm not doing enough. What do you think about the whole like, I guess maybe like over-investing in school approach?
I don't think that I'm the best person to talk about this for the simple fact that I think I'm similar to the first person where I wasn't involved in extracurriculars. I didn't play a sport. I wasn't a prefect. I wasn't like a head student. I wasn't like a leader in the school or anything like that. You could one day be like me. Don't. No, like that's just it. Like I wasn't involved in any of those kind of things, and every now and then I think back and I'm like, damn, I wish I did do something there. But also at the same time, like I don't kick myself for it every day. It doesn't really bother me all that much. Like it doesn't. I think when you're like freshest out of high school, you look back on it and think, wow, I could have done more. But that's like the general nature of anything. Like I can think back on uni and think, wow, I could have done more, because I most certainly could have. But that's just it. Like we always think that we can do more. We always think that what we're doing is never enough, and it doesn't matter what it is in terms of like extracurriculars, or if it's even doing enough schoolwork or something like that, you know?
Yeah, my conclusion would just be like, do what makes you happy, do what you enjoy. If we want to take
Don't force yourself for a season of volleyball and netball just because you think you have to because everyone else in your friend group plays sports. Because
if we want to take the like investing heaps in extracurriculars approach, I can think of people who did heaps of extracurriculars, were prefects, like I'm thinking of very specific people, and who are doing really well in their like academic life now. I can think of people who did lots of extracurriculars, were prefects, who didn't go to university and are doing very well in jobs and like pursuing other ventures. I can think of people who weren't prefects, didn't do any of this stuff, also doing very well, either in university or in jobs that people who did every box, who ticked every prefect box and extracurricular box, like couldn't have got because
I think
that's how life, like
that's exactly what you said.
Like being a prefect and doing heaps of extracurriculars aren't a key metric of life. They actually, the more useful things are the skills you learn from them. Not the skills as in like, not like how to play football, but like interacting with people, meeting new people, like getting how you convince someone to show up. So we have 9 players this week. Is that how many? 11? 9? I don't know how football works. So, those are the skills that are actually useful. Not the fact that like you can say I was in the football team. Like that's not the key factor.
100%. And I think it's exactly what you said. It's if you're happy with what you're doing, if you don't feel like you want to go do those extra things, don't. Like, I think don't feel like you have to be doing what everyone else is doing because that seems to be the norm. Like, if you think that committing yourself to something else would be nothing but like a bane to your existence, then don't do it. Like, it's fine. You know?
No, I totally agree. Cool. Do you want to do these questions or do you want to go to lunch?
Okay, I'm in my final year and I can't use my time wisely and end up stressing and procrastinating, and I'm really bad at studying.
Go to lunch.
Oh, excuse me. Stop whispering into the microphone.
I wanted to go to lunch.
I don't care.
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow.
I'm really bad at studying, but still get an E and M in all my results, but I'm scared for uni because clearly uni, it doesn't work like that, and it doesn't. So I think in terms of like final year anxiety and transitioning and stuff like that, I think it's like anything, you will not know what it's like until you've done it. And I think quite a lot of us go into uni feeling like we're not prepared to be really, really independent for our study and stuff like that. But I think a lot of us forget that as soon as we don't have that support there, we have to do it ourselves. There is no other way around it. Either that or we go home after 2 weeks at uni because we can't do it ourselves. And I would like to premise it now by saying that's the minority, and that's also people who aren't committed to the idea of uni at all anyway. Like, those are generally the people who want to go there for like a drinking culture or something like that, do you know what I mean? Like, they're not committed to the knowledge, they're not committed to their degree, they're not committed to actual extra study, they want that culture. So as soon as you don't have the option anymore, you just do it. And also, it's never too late to like if you want to like become better at studying, like you can do stuff towards that today. Little steps. You don't have to go from 0 minutes of study per day to 2 hours per day. 100%.
And one day, just like small steps, like integrating like 20 minutes every day after school. Small steps, and like you can like start doing that like now. If you're worried about like not having like study routine and habits in uni, like start now, like today when you get home, 20 minutes. Or if you're listening to this podcast because you're like just chilling after school, just say, I'm going to do 20 minutes of study and I'm going to do it again tomorrow, the day after that. And my microphone just died.
Mine. Well, that's a good time for us to wrap up for today, actually.
I won't bother replacing the batteries then.
Fair. Yeah. I'll sign us off then. So for if you saw any parts of this that you thought were really interesting and good for the highlights, please give us like timestamps and we can make snippets and all that fun stuff. If you have any ideas for any of future episodes of things that you would like for us to discuss, that's also awesome. We really appreciate that feedback from you guys. And also, thank you for everyone who did ask a question. Oh, actually, sorry, I would like to take a moment to just quickly say, this is the first week after Friday, clearly, and we know that we posted a lot of stuff on StudyTime about obviously the tragedy that happened in Christchurch, and I guess
also just wanted to reiterate, you know, for everyone in Christchurch and anyone that was, you know, affected by the tragedy, you know, everyone here at StudyTime, you know, we definitely feel it, and like we send like all of our best wishes and condolences for anyone who was affected and all of the affected communities and stuff like that. And I think that's really important to mention just quickly. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you everyone for watching. We will see you next week.